Hi everyone, I've got another Scrawlr box, so let's open it. So if you're new here, my name is Sally and I'm a mixed media artist in Australia, and if you're not new here, then welcome back. So last week I unboxed and made art with the January Scrawlr Box, which was shipped out late to everybody. I get it extra late because I'm in Australia, and literally, so I uploaded that on the Wednesday, and then Friday morning I received the February box. And I feel like this got shipped out faster than any that I've ever received before. I've been subscribed for probably like 2 years now. Usually when I get the shipping notification, it takes about 2 weeks to arrive to Australia. I swear this one was like a week. It came really, really fast. So let's open it up and see what's inside and make some art. I can never get this off in one go. Ugh. 102. This came really soon after I got Scrawlr Box 101. Ooh, that looks like watercolor and gold. So our featured artist is Polina Zavodina. That is their socials. I didn't even get to the supplies. Okay, what am I doing? What do we got? Candy, Dale Rowney HB sketching, water soluble pencil, a little round brush, number 6. I feel like this is a pretty common size that we get, but that is fine because I use that a lot. A little sticker and watercolor sheets, metallics. Cool, because I was just going to say we've had a watercolor sheet box previously, but these metallics should be very fun to play with and swatch. And the surface is an A5 watercolor paper, 190 GSM 8 sheets. So it's not like super thick, but it is slightly textured. Watercolor paper, watercolor, my comfort zone. We got a pencil, brush. Candy, let's have a flick through the zine. All our supplies. A little interview with our featured artist. Tips and tricks. A little bit more about watercolors. If this gold watercolor comes out like this, I'll be very, very happy. And this was that box with the postcards where I did the little Escher inspired cats. Tessellate. Hey, that's me. That's my little skull. So Scrawlr Challenge, the roundup, time for another look back at some of the wonderful Scrawlr Challenge artwork you have created. Here is just a handful of your creations we spied on our socials. We want to say a massive thank you to all of you for your amazing work. Yay! It's nice being in the magazine. And our prompt this month is fire and ice. So let's see what we can make with this. Okay, so the Viviva watercolors, it's a little handmade watercolor brand started by two brothers, and They are handmade in India, and we've had Viviva watercolors before, and they come with this little sort of sleeve thing with a little introduction about who made the watercolor. It's super, super cute. Such a great little brand and incredible quality, like really, really highly pigmented. And there's just some little instructions about, making sure that they're dry before you close the book, just to prevent any mess, that sort of thing. But I wasn't sure how metallic they were going to be, but they're all actually pretty metallic. And I don't really have any metallic watercolors. Like, I have a set of golds already, but I don't have like metallic colors. So I was pretty excited to get these. And the Vivivas also come with a little mixing, it's like coated paper on the back, so you can actually use it as a palette. So this is like all in one, good to go. And this was the other Viviva palette that I got in a Scrawlr box, and this was actually the travel palette that I took with me to Vancouver. And I still haven't uploaded my Vancouver travel blog, but I took just that set of paints and a couple of pencils, and it really did me so good. Such a great quality paint. I think I actually prefer the little palette rather than the sheets, but that's just a personal preference. I like being able to sort of really dip in and mix from a palette rather than going back and forth between the sheets, but that's just my personal preference. The graphite pencil was amazing. It does actually dissolve in the water, so I think you can get some really cool effects from that. And look at the pigment. They're just so stunning. You only need a tiny little bit of water, and the color is just so rich and they're so easy to use. I noticed with these that the more you dilute them with water, the less metallic they are. So if you really want to hit that shimmer to be evident, use less water and don't have them so diluted. But the color is just, they're so stunning. And this is a really great color palette as well. We've got our warm tones, and then we've got a nice warm green there, and then a cool green. Gorgeous. Because you can mix a lot when you've got your complementary shades. You can neutralize them and create grays and browns, that sort of thing. So yeah, really versatile color story with this. Couple of blues. And then they actually gave us 2 silvers and 2 golds. And I was trying to figure out what the difference was between them, but they're actually just 2 of the same shade. I was really trying to look for the difference, but they're the same. So yeah, super shiny silvers and golds and 2 golds. So these will come in really handy. And then I just sort of did a little bit of mixing on the palette. And this is what I mean with the sheets. You sort of have to go back and forth, and that's not super convenient to me. Like, it's not a hassle at all. If you only had this one little, and it weighs hardly anything, so it'd be perfect for travel. All you just have to do is take like a water brush with you and you're good to go. It weighs nothing. And you just rub the back with a bit of a damp cloth or damp tissue, and paint comes off good as new. Fantastic. Highly recommend this brand. And I just wanted to show you like the shimmer when they dried. Some shades it's much more evident. The gold and the silver are absolutely stunning, like so shiny. And I wanted to see if the gold and the silver would layer over the colors, so I just did some experimenting there, and no issues at all. So I just waited for them to dry, and you just want to make sure, because watercolor will reactivate a little bit, just make sure that when you're putting that gold or that silver over the top, that your brush isn't super wet, so you don't sort of reactivate the color underneath, and you're good to go. So this is what our swatch sheet is all about. Just experimenting, seeing how the supplies work with each other, layering things up, doing some blending and all that jazz. And here they are dry again, but in different lighting. So this was with my studio lights. And you can see like that pink has the gold shimmer in it, really evident. And then I mixed the blue with some of the gold, and you can actually mix the metallics, like the gold and the silver, into the metallics and really draw that shimmer out as well. So there's quite a lot that you can do with this, but because I diluted them a bit, you can't really see the shimmer in a lot of this. And then I also realized that they have a little swatch area underneath all the colors in the sheets, which I hadn't actually even noticed when I first opened it up. So I'd swatched them on my watercolor paper, and then I did the swatches in the little palette as well. So that's super convenient because it's always really handy to have swatches with your paints. So that way everything's all together. You don't have to have carry a separate swatch sheet with you. You can just carry these little sheets. So the prompt was fire and ice, and the artwork that we got, the art print that we got, was a portrait. And you know I love to do portraits. And I didn't really take any inspiration from the ice side of things, but fire had been on my mind all week. We started the week with Aaron Bushnell, and if you have been paying attention to anything that's happening in the world, in the Middle East right now, Aaron Bushnell was a US soldier who self-immolated as a protest. And it's really shocking. And this is something that's been done historically as an extreme protest. And I watched the video. I didn't watch the whole thing. I saw one that was cut just before he fell. But I did see his speech, and I did see him light the accelerant, and his family also, I should say, his family had given approval for that video to be released as well. So it's a very fine line, and I think we're all seeing so many shocking images and dehumanization not only of people who are alive, but dehumanization in death as well. And it's such a fine line to, and it's really hard to navigate. And I'm kind of I don't have a script for this. I'm just like talking off the cuff, because I think about what's happening every single day, and I know I'm not the only one. And it's been, last week was particularly heavy, starting with Aaron. And I just sort of was thinking about fire, and I saw a lot of artists online doing artworks of him engulfed in flames, and I just can't make that kind of art. Like, I can't do that. And whenever I'm making art these days, I kind of feel like I want it to have something to do with Palestine, because it's the most important thing that's happening right now. And I'm not sure how to do it in a way that's gets any kind of message across, or that's kind of respectful and not disrespectful in any way. I also don't really want to center myself throughout all this. So it's been quite a struggle to sort of find how to appropriately convey how I'm feeling through my artwork. But then I sort of think, it's part of me. So how I'm feeling, like no matter what I make, it's gonna be kind of in there in some way, and it doesn't have to be really obvious, because it's sort of whatever you make is something that's from within you. So there was sort of already flames in my head all week, and then we got the prompt and it was fire and ice, and I was like, oh, here's some more of that synchronicity that's been happening so much for me lately. And then also, one of the things that I find really devastating about genocide is cultural genocide. And I just read today, as I'm recording this, I just read today that there's no more universities in Gaza. And quite early on, I was thinking, like, how many paintings have been destroyed and how many books have been destroyed and photographs and that just don't exist anymore. And I don't know if that's something that people think about. Maybe artists think about it, but maybe people don't think about it because we're just so confronted with the horrors of the deaths and the people and the starvation, and it's just all so much and so urgent. And yeah, cultural genocide is devastating. Canada now is, there's no option to put Palestine as your country of origin on your Canadian passport, which is wild to me. Like, it exists and they're trying to just wipe it from the map, from existence. And I can't understand it. Like, I can't understand it. So, anyway, I say all of that to say that I just wanted to do a portrait of a woman in traditional Palestinian dress. And my way of working through my emotions and honoring these magnificent people who are are living through the most unimaginable thing. I just don't even, I can't even comprehend what I'm seeing every day on my phone. Um, yeah, so I found some images and some accounts. I asked my followers on Instagram if they could send me any accounts that sort of focus on historical photos, that sort of thing. And I got some really amazing accounts sent to me of textiles and things like that, which was incredible. And, there are people just keeping the culture alive this way. And I think it's really important, as a white Western woman, to acknowledge this and pay tribute in whatever way I can and witness it and talk about it. And yeah, I hope that I did this portrait justice, because it means so much to me to be able to use my voice in any kind of way. And I'm sorry if this voiceover is just a little bit disjointed, but I just wanted to sort of like talk off the cuff and about my feelings about everything. And this isn't even scratching the surface. Let me know in the comments how you're coping with everything. I'm physically unable to go to protests because of my long COVID. So I'm really just trying to send the emails and make the phone calls, and I took part in the postcards that were sent out to our government a week or so ago, a couple of weeks ago, and making art and sharing information and talking about it. And I don't know, I feel like it's so much, but I also feel like I'm not doing enough, because it's so overwhelming. But then I see the worldwide community, and collectively we can do so much. So I wanted to do a portrait, and I'd been given these Instagram accounts that were lots of the traditional embroidery and stuff like that. P.S. Look at Echo. She was fast asleep on my desk, just twitching and dreaming away. She's so cute. She always does that when she sleeps. She's a hungry girl. It's like she's eating, sleep eating in her dreams. Yeah. Anyway, so I had that beautiful gold paint, and so I decided to, yeah, just do the portrait of the woman in her traditional dress, which is called a thobe. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. And it's a traditional dress, and they have really intricate embroidery, which is called tartries, and they all have unique patterns. And like lots of Indigenous cultures, there's a lot of meaning in all the patterns and things like that. So yeah, the color palette of the watercolors was just perfect for this piece. So that's what I decided to do. And I actually forgot to film when I did the gold, but here it is here. Like, it's just so super shiny and beautiful. Love it. And you can see how the gold comes through, like the shimmer comes through the paints like this. They are really metallic when you get them in the light, just gorgeous. So yeah, this is my portrait. I kind of, like I said, I don't want to make art of anything that's visually distressing at all, and that's why when I did the portraits of Bisan and Motaz, it was really intentional that I scrolled back through their Instagrams and found pictures of them where they just looked really happy and joyful, and just like they're, to me, young kids in their early 20s, and they're carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. And I'm so used to seeing them every day just exhausted and worn out and so distressed, and I really wanted to capture them smiling and hope that they can have that again someday real soon. So with this piece, I wanted to, yeah, just celebrate the traditional dress and honor it and recognize it and talk about it and show it to you, because it exists, and it's really important that we don't forget that cultural genocide is also happening. So here's my TED Talk. And I decided to do some little continuous line paintings of poppies just around her, because that red was so stunning. And I just wanted to add a little bit of something, and that's kind of what I've been doing lately. So I just added that around the bottom, and that was it. So let me know your thoughts. I really loved these supplies, loved this box. I'll definitely be using these watercolors again. And it was really cool that I could make something really meaningful to me with these art supplies this month, because I've really been struggling in how to sort of speak about it but not be too obvious and not be really gruesome, that sort of thing. Yeah, so hopefully some of that sort of resonates with some of you. Like this video if you liked this video, and consider subscribing to my channel, where I do lots of art subscription box unboxings and make art and talk about my feelings. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.